As promised, we are back on the chosen baseball journey with former MLB great Karim Garcia, Jonathan A. Hacohen, author of the Bible 3.0. My book is out on Barnes& and Noble, Amazon, Indigo. If you are in Canada, feel free to pick up and I'd be happy to sign it for you. And this is a book about lifestyle and how to live the best life possible, not baseball related. And it's funny, Kareem, because my publisher thought the title, The Bible 3.0, was a little bit controversial. So I'm not a person that shies away from controversy. One, today's topic is going to be quite interesting, and we're going to get a lot of feedback from the fans. It's I'm going to turn it around first to tell you the most controversial take that I've always had in baseball before this was about Ken Griffey Jr. Alrighty. And I grew up in the Ken Griffey Jr. era with the sweet swing, and you knew he was going to be unanimously in the Hall of Fame, and everybody loves the kid. That was the kind of the thing. My question always was to people, and we've talked about this in a previous episode, but I've always asked, he played knee deep in the steroid era. He played with Seattle, with A-Rod, with Buhner. Um, he goes over to Cincy. He has those monster numbers around the time that A-Rod has his monster numbers. Then Griffey signs the big contract, has one good year, body miraculously breaks down, and that's slowly the demise. He goes to the Hall of Fame. He's everybody's favorite baseball player. How is he the only guy from that era that nobody even questions for a second with PEDs? I don't get it.
I mean, he was a superb athlete, great, beautiful swing. I mean, I got to see him when I went to the American League for the first time. And, you know, taking his batting practice, his work ethic, the whole 9 yards when you go to the ballpark, you understand, plus this a guy is like 6'4", 6'5". I mean, he's a big guy. He's not a small guy. Strong. You can see he take care of himself. But I don't like he wasn't bulky like Mark McGwire or Sammy Sosa or Barry Bonds or any of those guys, Canseco or all those guys. He wasn't bulky like that. He was just big, country big, strong. But you didn't see him like he was like ripped or anything like that. And he was fast, he was good. So I mean, his body just broke down, when he started getting on his studies. That's what really happened. And the other guy that we mentioned before is Frank Thomas, another guy that never someone said that he actually used anything. He was already big. He was built like I don't know, a center or a linebacker.
I remember saying that I met Frank Thomas when he was a rookie with the White Sox. He was always that big. He looked like a linebacker in football. He was massive. So I'm gonna ask you because you playing in that era, who had the sweeter swing, Ken Griffey Jr. or Rafael Palmeiro?
Ooh, I played with Rafael Palmeiro in Baltimore. He had a sweet swing, but I'm taking Griffey no matter what. It's a beautiful swing.
Palmeiro is a guy, if you think about it, also not bulky like Canseco, McGwire. He was good cut, like he was in shape, but he was a guy who never struck out as a bodybuilder. Just had that beautiful swing. He was known from college. And to me, if I'm gonna do the parallels, I see a lot of Griffey Palmeiro together, but Palmeiro had the finger saying, no, 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 I didn't do that. And then obviously his legacy. But you look at them, don't you see similarities, or am I off?
Yeah, I can see a little bit of similarity, but Palmeiro's swing looks more like the natural, which is Will Clark. Both of them left-hander hitters, both of them first basemen, kind of type of same swing. They don't strike out a lot. They make contact with the baseball and they hit home runs. Of course, Palmeiro hit more home runs than Will Clark, but they had the similarity on the strings more to the Will Clark than I see Ken Griffey. Ken Griffey Jr. more powerful swing than Palmeiro to me on
Will
batting practice especially.
Will Clark is Rafael Palmeiro without the vitamins.
Yes.
Now, in today's episode, so that's my controversial take on Ken Griffey Jr. And my apologies to Ken Griffey Jr. I never at all said that he did take anything. All I'm saying is, even like the Jeff Bagwells of this world, everybody got questioned. Jay Buhner, but nobody questioned. All I'm saying is if you're in that era and you look at the numbers and your home runs shoot up and you're playing with other guys, there's got to be questions. That's all I got to say on that. So a guy who is not accused of any of this, but yet does not have a contract is Trevor Bauer. Now, Trevor Bauer, I wanted to pinpoint some items that I thought were quite interesting about him looking into the 2024 season. Imagine this: 33 years old, so not a spring chicken, but he's not 40. Last time pitching in 2021 in MLB, 8-5, 2.59 ERA, 137 strikeouts in 107 innings with the Dodgers, 1.003 whip. And he had excellent numbers with Japan in 2023. Man, I'm not kind of getting this. I get that you always put people off, and guess what? He was kind of flaky. He had the drones and whatever, a little controversial. Teams kept giving up on him, but they got players of great quality for him. And when he was pitching well, nobody was complaining. The Diamondbacks had him, the Indians had him. He was so great on the Reds. I thought he was going to return to the Reds. And so I would say there are 30 teams that could instantly plug in Trevor Bauer into their rotation. And I would dare say there are 15 MLB teams that he would be their instant number one. True or false?
True. And starting for the teams that need the pitching right now that they're trying to make their teams a contenders, like the Yankees, the Mets, they're probably not building a position, but teams like the Dodgers, that they don't know if their rotation is going to last or how long it's going to last, because regardless of what they say or anybody says, people is going to get hurt through the season. Their arms are going to get tired. So more pitching you have, more depth that you have, the easier they make the season for you. Especially for Dodgers, they always, halfway through the season, 3/4 through the season, in August, they're already, clinching the division before anyone else. And as soon as they go to the playoff, they go bye-bye, unfortunately. But, teams like that, include Baltimore. Baltimore can use a Bauer right now, too, to add to their pitching staff.
Let's say we're all very focused on the AL East for whatever reason, because the Yankees and Red Sox are there and the way Tampa and Baltimore grew this year and the Jays are always lingering around. Let's take the AL East just for shits and giggles, shall we? So let's start off with Baltimore. So Baltimore has their number one in Corbin Burns. Number two, Bradish, probably not going to pitch this year. So they lost their other de facto number one. You drop a number one, number two guy, Bauer instantly slides in there. They're contenders. That team is a real serious threat in the playoffs in a short series with Burns and Bauer alone, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Red Sox, to say they're a mess is going to be an understatement, right? They've been looking at Jordan Montgomery. They've been fishing around. And why? Because Jordan Montgomery's wife is an intern in a hospital, medical in Boston. That's where she took her internship. So if his wife, the doctor, is going to be in Boston, it makes sense for him to be in Boston. That's why everybody's been talking about Boston. Jordan Montgomery apparently wants a 5-year, 7-year deal. Trevor Bauer is going to take $700K. I think Boston instantly better. There's their number one on the spot.
Yes, but it's Bauer, like you mentioned, is trying to get back to the major leagues. So he will take any deal with the 30 teams. Even if the Red Sox are not the best bet for him to get back to the major leagues right now, because I don't see the Boston Red Sox even going 500 this year, 81 and 81. But he just wants to get the chance to pitch. I know there's a lot better options than that for him right now, but he just wants an opportunity like a lot of other guys, looking for an opportunity to get back to the major leagues.
Let's go to Tampa Bay, shall we? So in Tampa Bay, they, for some reason, have all this top arms. They all find their way to Tommy John surgery. They keep finding new stars in AAA, and they keep recycling it with finding the right veterans that fit in, right? And so Tampa's always interesting. They just have the secret sauce somehow, and you sign with them, you just know you're going to pitch well. They're like a pitching factory. And to me, Tampa, with the pitching and some of the question marks because some of the guys are hurt, you lost. I think they have 3 or 4 of their starters right now on the DL. No brainer. You bring him in, bring in Bauer. and boom. But they're dealing with the Wander Franco issue, right? And with Wander Franco having his issues, I think they're saying, "Oh, I don't want to really touch this." But I think a lot of people reached out to me and said this, and to me, comparing Wander Franco and Trevor Bauer and their legal issues is a night and day difference.
Absolutely. Two different stuff, you know. One is already being clear of it. And but I don't think that it's a good fit just because of the problem that they're having right now. And I don't think the Tampa Bay are even gonna touch or even consider trying to sign him because of the problem they're having, the issues they're having right now.
So we come to the Toronto Blue Jays, and with Manoah being a giant question mark, Gosman being slightly hurt, Kikuchi's having a very up, more down spring training. I was watching a game with Baltimore, and he got lit up for 7 runs in 2 innings. Now I know he's working on his stuff and everything else. The Jays with Trevor Bauer at the top of the rotation, we're looking a lot better right now. Because they have a decent to good rotation, but they don't have that oomph. There's a lot of rotations that I feel like the Braves, for example, that I feel a lot better about their rotation. But I think it'd be perfect fit. The only issue is politically, how would that seem with the fan base? And it's so strange, Kareem, because if you're in the NBA, if you're in the NFL, you could almost literally do anything and you're gonna find your way back. You could literally murder somebody, go to jail, come back, and you're gonna get a contract and you're gonna get a full contract. I mean, look at Deshaun Watson and his troubles, and he got a full contract. And this is a case where Bauer comes, he's been cleared legally, and all he's saying is, give me the minimum, I'll prove myself, no questions. And nobody wants to sign him.
I still don't understand why. He's already been clear, like we mentioned it. And the other thing, I think Toronto will be a great fit for him. You know, I think the people in Toronto will be a little more relaxed than signing with a New York team or LA team or something like that. That you're gonna have the pressure completely about what happened. They're not gonna let you leave it. They're gonna continue to tell you. In Toronto, I will think they let you pitch, they let you do your work, and you'll be a number one pitcher over there, especially when you lose your other fourth or fifth pitcher, which was Ryu Hyun Jin, the Korean guy that went back to Korea to pitch for his whole team.
Yes.
Now, now you need him. Not only he's gonna eat innings, he's gonna win games for you. He's gonna help you to accomplish what you're looking for, which is going to the playoff.
So I got a plan for you. You signed Bauer in Toronto, pair him up with Votto, put the lockers beside each other, and you tell Bauer, don't say anything unless Votto says it's okay. And you tell Votto, you're his parole officer, you're his accountability guy. You keep an eye on him. Because I can tell you, Votto's not going to put up with any of that nonsense. In the clubhouses, when you have a rookie that's very brash, outspoken, especially in New York, right? When you had the Derek Jeters of this world, they knew how to shut that down real quick, right?
Immediately. It's nothing you be tripping about or talking about without, one of the older guys or the veteran guys letting you know, say, you know what, you come down a little bit. Once you get your time, you can actually talk about certain stuff or do certain things. Right now, you haven't get your stripes yet, so might as well just chill and listen.
It's still a very veteran clubhouse with the New York Yankees. And I imagine if they did sign, I'm just saying in the world, if they signed Trevor Bauer, because I think he's the best fit in New York. I think he had the flair for it. He can handle the pressure. The thing is, you have the LeMayhews and you have the Rizzos of this world sitting in that clubhouse. They would have a players only meeting, presumably, and tell him that there's not going to be any deviations. This is the way it's going to be. I presume that's how it would go down if Trevor Bauer was in the New York Yankees locker room.
I think the first thing is going to be a sit down with the general manager and the manager talking about the do's and don'ts on the team. What they expect him to actually accomplish and do for them. And the other one is now the captain of the team will pull them aside with a few veteran guys and tell them exactly with the respect of him what to do and where not to mess up because he's only one and done actually. First time you mess up, you're gone, and you're probably gone for life in baseball. This is probably the last chance that he will ever get.
I would make a deal with Bauer. I would say you're going to shut down your social media during the season. When you talk to reporters, you're going to talk about how you're going to give 100%. There's no I in team, and we're going to take it one game at a time, and just use those three lines every single day, and that's all you need to do. So I'm going to throw another loop for you, Kareem.
Yeah,
We talked about Bauer at 33 years old. Now imagine a world where I can bring you, and again, we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks about how players have been dropping like flies, right? What if I can bring you a pitcher, and he's a starting pitcher, and he's not just a starting pitcher, but he's a left-handed starter, okay? He's turning 28 this year. That magical 27, 28 time when everybody goes into their prime. And if I told you he was 20-3 in 2021, he was 17-7 in 2022 with a 2.16 ERA and a 0.96 whip as a starter. For his career, he is 16-25, 3.11 ERA, 1.1 whip. And I can tell you can have him for the minimum. How quickly are you signing this guy?
last week. I would have said it last week, right away.
Right away, no question. If this guy's a free agent with these numbers, the second free agency starts, you would already be at his home, ring the doorbell the second the clock strikes midnight, and knock and say, we're ready to sign you, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Julio Urias, not quite the case. Now, Urias, we know his legal troubles. So I would say Bauer being cleared, Wander Franco, we're probably not going to see again. Urias sits somewhere in that middle for me. He has his legal troubles, not condoning it in the slightest. If I'm a team and I know where he's at, I know that a suspension is coming at some point. I first want with his numbers and what he brings to the table. He's a number one guy. He's like a Garrett Cole type that doesn't grow on trees. And his prime and his health, he's top 5 pitcher in baseball. I want to hear his side of where he thinks he's at and where he's planning to go. If Urias is planning to take counseling, planning to take accountability, support charity work, do whatever it takes, does he deserve a second chance, third chance now, given where he's at?
This should be his third chance. It's not a
Right.
second chance, unfortunately. Will be the third one. Now we know legally in LA he's been cleared from the police, from the judge, from everything else. Now everyone is waiting for Major League to do the disciplinary part and see how long is it going to happen. Is it 81 games, half of the season? Is it a full year, the whole 162? We don't know. And I actually wonder why is Major League taking so long since he was clear in January. They don't want him to pitch this year. They want him to lose a full year. I mean, it's completely up to them, but I'm just saying, they should have made a statement. They should say something about it. He's saying he should be working on this thing. And unfortunately, because this is happening right now, I see Urias, something like Roberto Osuna happened a few years back, where he went to Mexico City, where he started his career with the Red Devils, now that they're playing against the Yankees, and go over there and pitch and show the rest of the world, not only the major leagues, but Asia, that he can actually continue to pitch, be effective, and help teams to win World Series or championships. So he probably go to Mexico City, do spring training over there, work out, stay probably half of the year, and hoping that a team either in the major leagues or Asia, Japan, or Korea will sign him to half of the year and then go from there.
Let's say you and I go back to Vegas, okay? We've done our over-unders on the Yankees sluggers, and they're going to play over-under 120 games. This one is very, very simple. Are they going to play one MLB game or not going forward for the rest of their careers? Wander Franco, one game or
No,
not?
no.
I agree. I mean, it's the more that stuff that comes out on there, I don't think it's a question, folks, of whether he's going to play another MLB game. It's a question of whether he's going to see the outside of a jail cell anytime soon. It's pretty scary stuff where he's at. And, you know, you signed that monster contract, and it goes to show you all the money in the world, and you never know where somebody's going to be at. So he's going to get his day in court. He's going to have to deal with it. But if I was going to bet on Wander Franco, no, I don't think he's going to be seeing an MLB game for his career. Trevor Bauer, will he pitch again in the major leagues? If you were betting.
I will hope so. I will actually hope so, you know. But as a betting person, I will put my money in yes, he probably will get a chance.
He'll get at least one game in there.
Yes.
Okay. And I feel the same. It's one of those things that I would bet yes, but I wouldn't feel very good about that bet. And I'll
Put a
tell
lot
you
of money
what,
on it.
and I'll tell you why in a moment. And finally, Julio Urias, will he see another MLB game?
Yes. They're just waiting for MLB to do the punishment, see how long it's gonna be. And once you finish, I will believe that he will pitch in the major leagues again.
So when it comes to Bauer versus Urias, I think the Urias charges are much more serious, considering you know Bauer got completely cleared, got suspended, finished the suspension. More information came out about his proceedings afterwards, which probably would have cleared him more. But you look at the severity of it, I think a lot of people would agree that Urias is in a deeper camp. But I think it comes down to it, Kareem. Is this a case of people saying Bauer was very bad and what he did was so wrong that he should never get an opportunity? Or the fact is also that a lot of people just didn't like him. You know, the fact is that he rubbed people the wrong way when he was playing. He's still on social media and he's not everybody's cup of tea, but there's a big MLB support group. You look on X and you read the comments, there are a lot of MLB fans that are questioning why their teams aren't signing him. And I think I have the answer why for you. So you ready for this one? I'll give you one last example. You have an MLB team, and I'm prepared to give you a slugger at DH. All right. He just came off his last season, 43 years old, played 126 games, hit 28 home runs, 66 RBIs. He walked 132 times, 132. He only struck out 54 times. He led his league in OBP, 480 OBP, not slug, OBP, with a 565 slug. If you could get him for the minimum contract and he could be your DH, would you take him?
Yes.
I don't know too many guys that can get a 480 slug, right? That's pretty unheard of, and at 43 years old. Well, Barry Bonds, that was his final season, made himself available, and did not even get a sniff of a minimum contract. So if Barry Bonds at those numbers this does not bode well for Mr. Bauer and for Mr. Urias. My only question is, why is the players union not freaking out and filing grievances? Because to me, I hate to say the C word, I'm seeing something called collusion here.
Well, the thing is, you know, Barry Bonds, we know his troubles. You know about with, you know what they say about it.
He
But
liked cream. He liked to put some cream on. We all need moisture, right?
absolutely clear moisture, right? Clear. And the other thing is, you know, Bauer is 33 years old, 10 years younger. And now if you go with Urias, is 17 years younger. So, you know, the Urias, you can get 10 years out of him still. That's a good pitcher. You get your money's worth. When Barry Bonds, and nobody says he couldn't, he probably could have hit 800 home runs. If they let him play a couple more years, he would have hit 800 home runs for sure. The thing is, you know, different situations, you know. Unfortunately, what Bauer and Urias they have put them on a scale that teams don't want to take a risk. But Bauer is already clear, so he should have a chance to pitch again. Urias needs to go through counseling, like you mentioned it, and change a lot of stuff on his life to get back in the major leagues, which I believe he will pitch at one point again in the major leagues. But I think I'm gonna see Bauer first, then Urias pitching.
In the 1980s, you know, we say there's an expression, Kareem, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Well, in the 1980s, when the owners colluded, because remember, free agency has not been around forever, right? This was a booming thing from the 70s. Well, at some point, the owners got together apparently and decided we're not going to sign free agents. So Andre Dawson on an MVP season barely got a sniff. Well, that went to court. The owners lost, and I think the penalty was $50 million. Now, something around that ballpark. Now, let's say, for example, you look at Barry Bonds and how he got cheated of an opportunity because he was equipped, he was ready to go. Based on his numbers, there's no reason for him not to be playing except for the fact that we don't like you. And we look at Bauer, we look at Urias. We're saying, well, okay, maybe there's personality and their legal troubles, and this is why. But then we start diving deeper, and then you look at Blake Snell, you look at Michael Lorenzen, you look at Tommy Pham, and you start to see here a pattern saying, well, some contracts were handed out, but all of a sudden 30 teams, you tell me 30 teams don't need Rich Hill, Zach Greinke, Tommy Pham, Michael Lorenzen, they can't find a slot for them. Something's not adding up. And when too many people all of a sudden don't get opportunities, I start to smell the collusion. And I'm just saying in a hypothetical world, if there was collusion here and we're suppressing salaries and suppressing players in MLB, I think the penalty would be a lot higher than $50 million today.
I'm thinking of the ballpark of $800 million. That's probably the ballpark in the collusion right now, because TV rights and everything else with the teams make every single year, each one of them. You know, the $50 million you can, it's like taking just a little hair on a team. So it's a lot more than that. It
We
has to be a
could
lot
we,
of things.
we could be breaking $1 billion at this point. And do you ever watch as a former player and think to yourself, I wonder why the players aren't making more of a stink about this? Because this, to me, something is not smelling right in the world of baseball.
I have thought about it, a few times, and especially with the contracts, the money that is right now on TV rights and everything else. I'm just wondering why the Major League Baseball Players Association is not even considering or talking about the subject. I don't know what the contract deal is with the MLB and the Major League Baseball Players Association right now, but I know are not in the greatest terms. There's still discussion a couple issues, and this one should be one of them. Maybe they are doing it, they're just not mentioning it.
There has to come a point though where, okay, we're going to put the pitch clock in. We're going to do takeaway shifts. We're going to increase the size of the bases. We're going to do the ghost runner. They change all these rules, and you're reading some of the commentary. It's like every year there's a new change, and at some point, some players have been saying, "Would it be nice if we could just play the bloody game the way it's meant to be?" And then you talk about these free agents. You talk about these issues with salaries. Then you got these lovely jerseys on top of it. And my thinking is the players union must be coming to them and saying, guys, listen, salaries are up. You're all making a lot of money. Enjoy the money. Don't worry about it. That's my thinking, because to me, at some point, the players are giving, 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 giving to almost every harebrained scheme. At some point, I think the players need to remember this is maybe going a little too far.
It might be going a little too far, and I don't think right now the players are happy with the money. Don't get me wrong. They're making a lot more money, especially the minimum right now is $750,000. It's just, when you put your foot down and say, you know what, enough is enough. Now we gotta continue. We gotta see these guys that actually sacrifice, because to be in the position that you are right now, someone had to do the dirty work, and that started back in the '80s, back in the '70s, with those guys that fight for us. Now these guys gotta fight for the other for the guys that they're living outside. They're not getting the contracts, and they're probably colluding. I will say, not 100%, but I mean, it's kind of weird that these guys are not signing not even a 1 year deal or invites, anything like that.
It looks to me like all of society, the middle part, the middle class gets squeezed. You either have the top of the rich, so you have the Aaron Judges, the Juan Sotos of this world. You have the rookies at the minimum salary. It's all those middle people out there. Like when Lourdes Gurriel signs a 3-4 year deal with the Diamondbacks, I'm thinking to myself, it could have easily gone that if he hadn't signed as early as he did, Lourdes Gurriel could have gone to a spring training invite and gotten a 1 year deal, maybe a vesting deal. So it's very interesting where the dynamics are going. It feels like it's very top heavy and bottom heavy. and it's that middle part. And my word of advice to those free agents and to veteran players, keep an eye out because no matter how good your stats are, even look at JD Martinez, not even an invite to spring training. I've never seen something like this. And I think we're going to hear that C word more and more as far as collusion goes because something's got to give at some point. If there's going to be another free agency year like this, I think a lot of players are going to wake up and not be happy about it.
Absolutely. And you're gonna like we mentioned, Major League Baseball Players Association got to do something about it. They got to step in, and I'm sure that Tony Clark right now is probably looking into stuff like that. With the other new rules that they implemented this year again, they're changing as to make the game faster, more entertaining. Yes, I understand that, but you're taking the essence of the game itself, the way that you're supposed to play the game is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to slide, hard to second base, to catchers, run into walls. None of that happens anymore. They always hold to the side, slide in, don't want to touch anyone, don't want to hit the wall in case they gotta paint it again, stuff like that. I don't like it.
As we end today's episode, I got my final hypothetical question. So let's say your agent calls you up and says, I need you to go to a coffee shop. I need you to get down to Starbucks. I need you to speak to a current player, offer some mentoring advice, Kareem. You're a level headed guy, you've been through it. So, first guy who comes to the coffee shop as you're waiting is Julio Urias. Urias is sitting with you at the coffee shop and he says to you, Kareem, help me help myself. What advice would you give to Julio Urias right now as far as where he stands?
Making a statement right away, accepting that he was the wrongdoing that he did, uh, going to therapy, doing some charity work, um, trying to do the most you can for the community and for people that has gone through the same problem that his girlfriend or wife went through. Talk about it because that's the only thing that's going to help you get better. Talking about what happened and and what that happens. That way you won't do it again. Continue to surround yourself with people that are actually going to help you get better in life, and that way you can probably continue with your career in the major leagues.
And I would add, and I like what you're saying there because let's say they sign him for 2 year for 2 million, 5 million, whatever it is. His whole salary for 2024, 2025, whenever he'd come back, all of it should go to charity, and he should be speaking at all sorts of support groups and functions to help people understand, how serious violence is, and and it's not acceptable, and but it has to come naturally. He has to see that light and understand what his role could be because he could make a lot of positive changes out of this if he put his energy towards it. Agreed with you. Now, as Urias leaves the coffee shop, Trevor Bauer strolls in, grabs his
Yeah.
flat white, and sits down with you. And you shake hands. And Trevor says, Kareem, you've seen what I've been doing. I'm doing everything humanly possible. Am I doing the right stuff? Should I be on social media? Should I be campaigning for myself? Help me. How can I get back into the major leagues? What advice would you give Trevor Bauer?
He's doing the right things, um, baseball wise, putting himself out there so they can see him that he's ready to pitch. Like you mentioned, the media side is you have to hire someone to actually completely change your whole perspective that people has with you. That you're the outgoing, the people that the person that speaks his mind, which you shouldn't anymore after get you in trouble on the first time. Let someone else do that type of stuff for you. You know, cons- yes, concentrate on baseball itself and let someone else in your team to handle that part. So the only thing you have to worry about is playing baseball, working out, having great time with your teammates, making more friends with your teammates, and just enjoy baseball. The rest of it will take care of himself, long as you let someone else taking care of that part for you.
Can we agree that where things stand, because I'm thinking at this point, as we're summing today, Kareem, if Trevor Bauer is not back in 2024, I don't see a world when he's coming back. To me, what would change in 2025, 2026? He's been out for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I think the bottom line is he has to come back this year. And if it ain't going to be this year, the odds are not good. He'll be back after that.
Now we'll probably see him in Japan again, or might see him in Mexico pitching in one of those teams if he wants to. I don't think it's a matter of money. It's a matter of pride for him to continue to pitch because he knows that he can pitch at the highest level right now, which is the major leagues, and actually help someone. But unfortunately, right now, he has to bide his time, and hopefully, someone will call him and give him the opportunity.
Well, it's gonna be a long season in baseball, and Kareem and I will be on top of it. And should Trevor Bauer be back, you better believe we're gonna analyze the signing. We're gonna analyze his first game. It'll be quite interesting. And just by the time we get even to opening day, be interested to see which players are actually on the roster, and who end up getting signed. So we'll stay tuned for that and send your comments, folks. For Kareem Garcia, what do you think about Urias, Bauer? What are your takes on it? Send your questions, please. Any baseball questions, we'd love to hear from you. And Kareem's happy to share his experience and stories. And we'll be back next week. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey.